It's good to see you guys. Having the opportunity to look at the tape, a lot of room for improvement. Thought yesterday was really good in terms of staff, all in on ownership, and here's what we did well. Here's what we've got to improve. I think the thing that's most frustrating for me is that some of these improvements have been too long coming, have been a thorn on our side for too long. And so I think us as coaches, we have to own it. I feel like we're doing that and being creative in ways to address it. I think the conversations with the team and our players, Saturday night through Sunday have been strong and productive. I think a lot of guys were down after the game, and so the process of bringing them up only makes us stronger, and anticipating a really strong day-to-day, looking forward to getting the team back together, and attacking this week. I think much like the last couple of weeks, our main focus is going to be to keep the focus on the focus. I think with things happening outside of our lane, to stay inside the white lines is going to be very key. So with that, take any questions you guys got.
John Werner, Waco Tribune Hero. Dave, obviously the big news this morning is Joey going to Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like he can transition well into the head coaching role, and how big a loss is it for you guys?
I'm excited for Joey. I told him that this morning. I'm excited for Debbie and for his family. I think we talked last time about one of the first times I met Joey, and my respect for him and my view of him was really shaped from that specific time, but has only grown throughout our time here together. And I know that this is something that he's worked for. You look at just Joey and his career and his story, what a journey he's been on, and for him to have an opportunity at Tech, I'm really happy for him. And I told him that, and I wish him all types of success. And he is beloved here, and so he took some time this morning to go around and say his goodbyes to the Baylor football family. And so excited for him. I think he's going to do great. He will energize that fan base and that team.
Coach Curtis Quillen, KCEN, Channel 6 here in Waco. What is it? Two things. One, what is it about Joey that makes him, like you said, so capable of being a successful head coach? And two, on your recruiting front, mm-hmm. What is it you guys lose with Joey going to Texas Tech?
I think Joey's very very personable. I think he brings energy. I think he has joy inside of him. I think that comes out when you spend time with him. I think recruiting-wise, there has been intentional team recruiting throughout, and Joey's been a big part of that. I think there's been some specific recruits where he's been probably more involved than others, but has really touched them all. And so it's really going to be for us making the sum of the parts even greater, and bringing out not only our defensive staff that has relationships with kids, but our offensive staff, right, pulling on more of our area coaches and just getting more people involved. I think we've got ourselves a great class. We're looking to finish strong.
David Smokesick on 365 Radio. You waited for him to make a decision when you got the job, mm-hmm. and you were patient with that. What did you learn about him at that time?
I think, Joey is someone that I think that always, I think he's got a strong, he's got a strong care factor for people. I think he has he's got himself a really big heart. I think, I see Debbie, his wife, the same way. And I see, I go back to that time. I just remember coming in and knowing how tight the team was, and knowing how connected they were to their coaches, and seeing Joey as a central part in that. And so, was fortunate that all that worked out the way it did. And I think, he will build a culture there of really connected people and a connected team.
Bryce Cherry, Waco Trib. Dave, non-Joey question. Gary had a string of games early in the season, no picks.
Mm-hmm.
He's had a few games in a row where he has thrown some. What have y'all targeted in terms of, why these are happening, and do you still have the utmost confidence in him, going forward?
That's a good question. I do, very much so. Have great confidence in Gary. I look at, just this past game. I know the throws that he made, the effort that he displayed. I think there was the throwback pass. There was the fourth down throw to Ben. There was the end of the game throw to Ben. I think in all of those three instances, there's people right in his face as he's throwing it, and that ball was just put exactly where it needs to be. And I think at halftime, even pulling back from all that, at halftime it was, hey, run game wise, again, similar to some of the Oklahoma State discussions we were having of safeties way in the fit and that, versus certain formations. Hey, we can throw the ball over their heads. We got to connect on it, and we come right out and do it. I think he answered the bell so many times in that game. And, we would be in TV timeouts and all of it on the sidelines, and you would see guys kind of panting, kind of getting their breath. You would see guys kind of looking around, trying to make eye contact, kind of see, where's the belief? Do you believe? Do you believe? You could kind of read that. And then I'm looking around, and then I see Gary, and Gary's just looking at me, and he winks at me. And so that's him. That's completely him. And so wouldn't want anyone else.
Jerry Hill, Baylor Bear Insider. Dave, you mentioned the pass rush after the game. Is that something that needs to be, situational substitution, or is there other ways to kind of create the pressure you need?
Yeah, it's a really good question. That is one thing that we have not improved, and I think it hasn't been for lack of trying, but we as coaches, we just need to be better. For us to go through this season and potentially come to an end of the season and say, it could have been this, or we could have had that, or we really never fixed this. That's completely on us, and that was the message, here these last couple hours watching the tape. And so I just think, one, it would be pulling aside or taking away time that is normally given to individual and really making it specific, like scramble rules. And so ones versus ones, good versus good, quarterback scrambles, secondary has to plaster. There's a critical third down where we did not execute that the way we need to. And so I think whereas we get the reps in an individual drill, or we get the reps maybe in a team setting, is not as competitive as something like that. And I think that's needed. It's past due, really. And then I think two would be, the level rush accountability. And so whether it is a star, or it's a corner, or it's a safety or a defensive end rushing off the edge, getting to the level of the quarterback, right? Knowing what the level of each quarterback is and getting to that level and being held accountable for it every day. So there's a number count. There's, if we don't get there, here's what happens. Here's the payment, so to speak. And so I think those things have to happen to be able to break through the other side of containing the quarterback. The third thing with that would be, in our creepers or simulated pressures, is to our three techniques or our four eyes, sometimes when they are contained, is stepping out as opposed to getting vertical. I think that technique change is needed. There's too many times Saturday where we had some pressure on the interior rush, and the quarterback is, when stuff comes inside, the quarterback's going to go outside. And so that three technique or four eye, getting too vertical and getting pinned as opposed to stepping out, playing through the tackle. If it's an ear hole, get vertical. If it's a face mask, get across. And those things, we made it harder than it needs to be. And so I think those three prescriptions can help. I think a total focus by the defensive staff is definitely needed.
Dave, John Morris, Baylor Radio with Fox Big Noon kickoff coming in. How important is it with that? And how important is that to you? And then a great crowd atmosphere and turnout Saturday.
Very excited for Fox coming. I think the opportunity to put Baylor football right out in front there with their TV show and having folks there and cheering. I think we've been blessed by a great home schedule, and you and I know that it has benefited us. And I think as the season has gone on, we have really matured into a good home field advantage team. And so to be able to show all aspects of that to anyone that wants to tune in, I think is way key for us. I think we've had a lot of strides to get there. So I think showing that in the morning is great. And then at the game, the opportunity to affect cadence, to get our opponent to go a silent count, to get to third downs and they can't hear when they're making is it 5-0? Do I slide to the right? Do I slide to the left? All right, it's an audible. What is he saying? To get all of those things, those steal downs for you and those steal plays for you. And so we've shown that we can do that. We're going to need to do that again.
Dave, Tyquan Thornton has just had an outstanding year. What has he done since last year to kind of, go to this level?
I think he's matured. I think Ty has. I think Ty has been from the very beginning blessed with great length and speed and athleticism. I think where Ty has really grown is his habits, his practice habits, his mindset, his attitude towards work. I think those things have really taken off, and I think there were some probably hard lessons in all of that. I think one of the things with the COVID year is that it's difficult to push people when you're afraid of losing people. And so I think, whether it was my still learning our team or it was their ability to kind of get out and go, if all of this, is not a good situation. So I think there was times where I think some bad habits were sustained. And I think for Ty, his ability to recognize that and attack those things has really led to just a strong growth. Really proud of him. I mean, you'd like to think that that's what the thing is that you'd want out of all your people, is for them to kind of look in and then get it right. And then on the outside, kind of stuff comes to them. And it's that way with Ty.
Hey, Dave. Jack Allen, ABC 25 in Waco. I was just wondering, you mentioned that you want to keep things focused between the white lines, but with everything going on with Coach McGuire, with Big Noon Saturday, all of that, where would you say the mental state of this team is right now on Monday?
I think it's going to be focused. I think our meeting that we'll have in a couple hours will address these things. Every week we allow for non-football time with our coaches, and so we're how's school doing? How's your family doing? I think those are going to be available times to talk about some of the topics that you just mentioned. I think I'm going to be working that as well. I think when it gets to the football time, though, whether it's meetings or whether it is on the field, I think everyone knows what's waiting for us there on Saturday, and the stage that we've got and the opportunity that's at hand. and I know that everyone knows the type of effort that it'll take. And so, I think for me, like pulling back from even just your question there, to relate it to this past week, for me to get it to where it is completely intrinsic and nothing extrinsically motivated. So it's all about, hey, I'm going to be on purpose today. I'm going to get better today. These are things that I'm going to attack. I think that can be a superpower. I think it's easy to say. I think it's hard to do. And I think, that's a fight that I'm willing to fight to the end for, because I feel like if you can do that as a team, you're only going to grow. And as a person, once you leave football, that's about all you can count on. I think being rewarded from the outside can pull you a whole bunch of different ways. And so I think this is, in the long view, a really good lesson to be involved in.
Hey, Coach, Nikki Lattarulla from Channel 6. What do you see from OU, and what do you think their biggest challenges that they'll present?
Appreciate the question. The quarterback has injected their offense with some firepower. I think they have always done a good job with their run game. It is always attached to RPOs. I think we struggled with RPOs just this past week. Caleb's ability to hit receivers in stride with tight coverage, I think, stands out. I think the skill on the perimeter stands out. But I think Oklahoma does a nice job of bait and switch, of really setting up a run, right, getting a look they want, and then taking advantage of it with a designed RPO. And I think they've been able to jump ahead on folks through that progression, and it's going to be for us to disrupt it.
Hey, Coach, Eric Kelly, Fox 44 Sports. Just in terms of whenever you have this type of staff change, obviously you kind of have to move people around. What's the game plan in terms of filling those coaching roles the rest of the season?
We're working on that right now. I think we've got a few capable guys that are in-house that we're talking to right now about working out to help with the outside linebackers. So I think it's a great opportunity. Feel really good about our staff, our young people, and just their work ethic and their ability to learn and grow. And I think however it ends up, they're going to be way excited to be able to help this team, and they recognize kind of the path we're on and where we can end up, and they want to be able to have some say in it. So excited for that.
Garrett Ross, Bears Illustrated. Y'all, the secondary has struggled over the past 3 games. How do you shore up the back end heading into this Oklahoma game with their receiving core that they have?
Yeah, I think I appreciate that question. I think communication will be the first thing. I think I have talked a lot about competitive maturity, and when things are competitive or pressurized, how that can create abnormal behavior. You can get out of yourself, and whether it's a fight or whatever it was, and that was a big concern going into this last game. And one of the things I was proud of that we didn't get involved in, with the chippiness and whatever was happening, in between the white lines and even on the sidelines at times. I thought that was a huge area of growth for us. I think that first half penalties, disconcerting, but then the second half I thought did much better. Where I think I have not done a good enough job is talking about when things are competitive or pressurized, that communication halts. And I think that happened on Saturday, and both offensively and defensively. But where you silo off, where it's I'm kind of tight right now. This is a big moment, and now all of a sudden I'm not talking anymore, right? And now all of a sudden I don't know what the guy to my left or right is doing, so I may just do my own thing. So there was some of that, and so I think communication breeds confidence, and for us to, in those moments, be able to communicate and play as a team, I think is the difference. I think Some of that has come up on the road and it hasn't really come up at home. And so that is something that we've got to improve on. I think the other phase with that is going to be the improved pass rush, along with communication in the back end. It's going to be pass rush on the front end. You know, there was a particular play. I think we were in Tampa coverage and simulated pressure, and we had linebacker in the big gap, and the tackle for TCU squeezes down the linebacker in the big gap, so the end's a free runner at the quarterback, and he had to maneuver and throw the ball quick, and it was an out route into cover 2, and the corner's there, the star is there, and it's a bang-bang play. And there was not a lot of those instances in that game, you know, for the amount of zone coverage that we play, right, where it's vision and break and all of it. You know, it is a lot of that's predicated on a rush, right? And so you're talking about guys that are midpoint in between their guys, reading the guy with the ball, trying to steal second off the pitcher, and make a play. And I think when there's not a real effective rush, and I take responsibility for that. When there's not an effective rush, the coverage in zone, I think, falters pretty strong, and we saw too much of that. And so I think the ability to get quarterbacks to move fast and get quick decisions and get the ball out of their hands by attacking protections is a big area of improvement with our secondary.
Dave, the new facility, how do you feel like that's going to benefit the football program?
Excited about that. You know, have been able to spend time with both Jeremy and Christy, and just beautiful family, and you know, my wife Dion, and my kids were able to hang out with their kids, and the girls are all talking at the end of the table. We're at breakfast, and they're talking about boys, and we're trying to figure out, like, what boy? Like, what are you talking about, man? You know, boys. And so I think, like, there's just great family, and I think it's just way it is one of the you know, just for me, just in this role, just the opportunity to meet really cool people, and that have their feet in the ground, way successful, big hearts, can see it all, know where it all fits, are just real with stuff. That's just, you know, you wish there was more of them, you know. And I think, and that's not even really saying with all the money. It's just quality people. And so I think, you know, that type of relationship, and then, you know, to hear that they're going to donate the money they are to help get that thing going. I think for us it's needed, and it's going to help us with recruiting, and I know that it's really going to propel us to that next level, and I'm excited for that. Thank you, guys.